There is no doubt about the fact that the Lord of the Rings movies are extremely well cast. Every single actor nails their character, to the point that it's hard to imagine anyone else in those roles. Apparently, in the late 90s, Keanu Reeves had his eye on Peter Jackson's fantasy movies. In this video, we'll discuss what he did to convince Jackson to cast him as well as other roles he didn't get. First off, Keanu was one of the candidates for Aragorn's role. As we know already, the whole casting process for Peter Jackson's The Lord of the Rings movies was not untroubled. Despite the impressive end result, the team had to work extremely hard to bring in top-notch actors for the roles. In particular, we know that Jackson went through several candidates for the role of Aragorn. He started off with Stuart Townsend and moved on to considering Russell Crowe for a long time, before eventually casting Viggo Mortensen. Luckily for him and for all the viewers who can now enjoy his iconic performance, this was a perfect casting choice. What many fans didn't know is that one of the candidates for this role was Keanu Reeves. Surprising, right? Or at least he tried his best to become a candidate in some way. Back then, in 1999, in an interview with the Australian magazine Rip It Up, he revealed, when asked about the big projects which were talked about at the time, that he wanted to play this character. It turns out many viewers did not see that interview of him, or perhaps didn't remember it until now, when his conversation in it came to light. Next up, how he tried to convince Jackson to cast him. During the interview with Cinescape Online, Keanu revealed how he tried to convince Jackson to give him the role. It seems like he was really interested in this opportunity, which is why he was ready to do whatever it took to get it. In the middle of the press cycle for the science fiction movie The Matrix, Reeves stated plainly that he wanted to be Aragorn, and he was actively trying to convince Jackson for the job. He said he was petitioning to play Strider, and that he would love more than anything to work with Peter, but was not sure if it would be possible for him. Even in the interview, he said he had high hopes. This was something he was seen echoing over and over, including when he spoke to TV Week in Australia around the same time. He admitted he might have to go begging for the role, and that he had his people making calls to Jackson requesting him. So after seeing all of this, it's kinda sad that he didn't end up getting to play Aragorn. Moving on, why didn't he get the role? Now that we know how much Keanu had to struggle to try to get Aragorn's role in The Lord of the Rings, another question arises. Why didn't he get it? Surely Jackson must have noted his interest and dedication, so why was he not considered? Well, unfortunately, it's unknown why Reeves didn't get the part. Perhaps Jackson missed all the memos and calls? What's more likely is that Keanu became tied up in the Matrix sequels and couldn't commit to the adventure movie trilogy as it was being shot back to back. But with all the evidence of him expressing his unwavering interest, it's hard to imagine that he backed out himself due to scheduling conflicts. Maybe Peter or someone else on the casting team decided that he would be too busy to make time for both projects if he were cast. Who knows? Coming up, what else did Keanu reveal about his upcoming projects? Recently, the 58-year-old actor revealed that the upcoming John Wick installment, which comes out next year, is the hardest movie he's ever made. We know that throughout his career, he starred in a number of action films, including Speed, The Matrix, and Constantine, and in all of them, he impressed audiences greatly with his commitment to the stunt work involved. For anyone who doesn't know, this franchise, created by Derek Kolstad, follows its titular character, a retired hitman who finds himself forced back into the criminal underworld. Each installment has garnered equal praise for its fight sequences, as well as Keanu's performances. Directed by Chad Stahelski, the upcoming one's set to premiere on March 24th, 2023. It'll follow John as he encounters a new enemy in his efforts to take down the High Table. While speaking to Hyper Omelette during his recent appearance at the 2022 Brazilian Comic-Con experience, the actor revealed that Chapter 4 has more action than previous installments. This is something Stahelski had teased earlier as well. He added that there will also be more horse riding, and that fights involving nunchucks and bows and arrows will be seen as well. When asked about whether making this film was easier or harder than prior installments, it's actually the hardest in terms of action, but that's what makes it so good. Now let's move on to the other roles that Keanu turned down or didn't get. Apart from The Lord of the Rings, there are several other movies where Reeves couldn't be part of the cast. This was because he either turned them down or didn't get them in the first place. And fans should know that as many popular films as he's starred in, he has still turned down some pretty major ones. Let's go over a bunch of these. First off, we have Oliver Stone's Platoon. It's insane to think that Keanu could have been in Platoon. Oliver Stone's 1986 Vietnam War drama not only won 4 Oscars, including Best Picture, but it also showcased the acting talents of a lot of then up-and-coming actors. These included John C. McGinley and Charlie Sheen. In an interview with EW in 2011, Oliver confirmed he'd offered the role of Chris to Reeves, but the actor turned it down because of the violence. It's very funny to think that the star of the John Wick movies passed on a film because of its violent of content. Though, to be fair, there's quite a difference between the heightened nature of the John Wick universe and the grim reality of Stone's portrayal of the hell that is war. Next up, we have Michael Mann's Heat. Keanu even turned down Michael Mann's Heat? Now that's a surprise for sure. Nearly everyone knows that this 1995 classic is easily one of the most influential crime thrillers produced in the last 25 years, thanks to its blend of highbrow visual storytelling and top-form performances by Robert De Niro and Al Pacino. The film also nearly included Reeves in a key supporting role as Chris Shaharless, a member of professional robber Neil McCauley's crew, and a character who'd end up being played by Val Kilmer. Instead, he turned down the role and headed off to Winnipeg, Canada to go play Hamlet for a season at the Manitoba Theatre Centre. How strange. Moving on, we have Lena and Lily Wachowski's Speed Racer. As many fans know, Keanu and The Matrix co-director Lana Wachowski are currently working together for the first time since 2003's The Matrix Revolutions, on, fittingly enough, the upcoming Matrix 4. Of course, they nearly reunited between then and now on her and her sibling Lily's live-action Speed Racer movie back in 2008. As he explained to MTV in an interview published just over a month before the film premiered in theaters, the siblings had approached him about playing Racer X, the mysterious masked racer who advises Speed and is secretly his presumed brother. But he ended up passing on the opportunity for reasons he didn't get into. Instead, Matthew Fox played the role, and the film went on to bomb at the box office before gaining a cult following for its hyper-real style in the years after. Coming up, we have Zack Snyder's Watchmen. As part of the same interview with MTV in 2008, Keanu also revealed that he'd been offered the role of Dr. Manhattan in Zack Snyder's Watchmen movie, but said things didn't work out for some reason. This was all prior to Billy Crudup being cast, who fans absolutely loved in it. One can assume he had to pass on Snyder's comic book adaptation because it directly conflicted with his filming schedule on Scott Derrickson's The Day the Earth Stood Still remake in late 2007, early 2008. Still, since both productions were based in Vancouver, he was able to visit the Watchmen set while it was shooting. Of the pair, only The Day the Earth Stood Still would go on to become a commercial success, despite being largely criticized for its narrative incoherence. By comparison, 2009's Watchmen was a huge flop that, like so many of Snyder's movies, continues to inspire lively debates to this day. Next up, we have Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck's Captain Marvel. According to Kevin Feige, Marvel Studios has approached Reeves about playing a role in the MCU for almost every single film. That's quite insane. There are a lot of rumors out there about the specific MCU characters he's been eyed for in the past, but one of the more believable ones claims that he was lined up to portray Carol Danvers' Star Force commander and mentor Jan Rogue in Captain Marvel. This was a role that Jude Law would eventually go on to tackle. But imagine seeing Keanu and Brie Larson in one frame? Jackpot! And while he had to turn it down because it conflicted with production on John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum, his ongoing courtship with the MCU, combined with his near casting as Dr. Manhattan and outspoken interest in returning to his DC movie role as John Constantine, suggests he has a real soft spot for superhero projects in general. Lastly, we have David Leitch's Hobbs and Shaw. On the subject of Reeves and shared universes, in 2021, Dwayne Johnson confirmed that Keanu had been eyed to play the mysterious director of the cyber terrorist organization Etion in the former's spin-off film Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw. In the end, he passed after discussing the role with Johnson and his collaborators because it just didn't feel right creatively. Much like Feige and the MCU, Johnson's ultimate goal was also to get Reeves to join the Fast and Furious offshoot in some capacity. And that's a wrap for this video. Do you think Keanu Reeves would have been a good addition to the Lord of the Rings franchise? Let us know in the comments down below. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. We'll see you in the next one.